Hi everyone, my name is Matt Garcia from Moon Landing, and this is the Launchpad. I'm here with Tyson Illingworth, also known as tyDi, an LA-based Australian record producer.
Hey, what's up? I'm Tyson, tyDi, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming, man. So just to start, tell us a little bit about you, your path towards music, and how you landed in Los Angeles.
Well, so it's a long story. Don't know if we have several days here, but so I was a musical nerd when I was a kid. For as long as I remember, everyone else was good in Australia at playing sports, and I was just not the sporty type. I was the kind of person who'd hang out in the music room. Ended up pursuing a degree in music and studied music theory and music technology. And while I did that degree, I made an album, and that album ended up going to #1 in America on iTunes back when people were downloading songs instead of streaming. And I got really lucky and just ended up touring the world as a DJ, and have done that for my entire life. But so I moved to LA in around 2015 when I released an album called Redefined, and toured all over North America, Canada, well, everywhere really. Still went off and toured Europe and everywhere from Ibiza to India to Buenos Aires to Russia, Ukraine. I've played everywhere.
All right, I have to ask then some of the names that you've toured with.
So some of the other artists that I've toured with?
Yeah.
Oh, so many. So I've done plenty of shows with Armin van Buuren for his ASOT shows. In the earlier days, I was doing primarily trance music, so it was very fitting. I was with Armada at the time, so I was touring a lot with them, playing with Armin. But when you play festivals all the time, it's going to be hard. I'll be reading you a list this big, but yeah, I've done. A kind of cool answer to that is, I got lucky. I'm so blessed that I've gotten to play with so many cool artists in my career. But what was really cool is if I rewind back to when I was 17 and I was playing in Australia as a resident DJ at a nightclub there, I would warm up for guys like Tiesto and all the big acts who would roll into Australia when I was 17. So I got a lot of experience as a warm-up DJ at that age, and never really thought that, well, I hoped for it, but yeah, never really thought that I'd be in the position where in the future I was playing my own headline shows around the world, which has been pretty crazy. Wild ride.
That's crazy to get that experience so early on.
Yeah, it was awesome. Definitely got me used to DJing. I was playing on vinyl too at the time. So with some of the DJs that were coming in, I still remember the day where I stopped playing vinyl and went to CDJs. It was after one show. I played a show. Paul Van Dyke was headlining in Australia. I think I was 18. I was using vinyl and he was using CDJs, and it was either PVD or Tiesto. And the needle skipped, and something was off with we used to put you'd call it a penny. We say a 5-cent coin in Australia. We used to put it on the needle to hold it down. There was no Serato or anything like that. So the needle skipped, and there's something wrong with the needle, and it would skip after every transition I did. And one of the guys was like, dude, you need to get on the CDJs. So I switched. I remember that day I was just ripping all of my favorite records from vinyl onto CDs. So that was my transition then. But yeah, so now these days, besides quarantine, the touring's been insane. It's such a cool thing to be able to see the entire world and get paid to do what you love. But I'm also a composer as well. I write music for Disney on Ice, and
I read about that. The Disney on Ice. You did it for a couple of commercials, for Stella Artois, right?
Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier, you're LA based. So I got to ask, what's the quarantine like over there? Because I'm all the way on the East Coast. So I'm curious to see how everything is in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so it's I've been pretty good with it. I feel like us producers and songwriters and people that work out of a studio have kind of been preparing for the quarantine by accident, because we're always just in a room all day anyway. But no, obviously it's weird, because when you know you can't leave, there's something that makes you want to leave. So before the quarantine, I was always, you know, I just wake up and it was normal to get into the studio and write music, and I could always know that I could just walk out and just do whatever I want or go to the beach or something if I'm not feeling the vibe. But now I'm definitely more like kind of craving sunlight and wanting to get back on the road, wanting to play shows or wanting to do things that are stimulating. But I'm lucky that I get to make music for a living. So yeah, I have no complaints here. You know, it's more just like, you know, saddening to see what is happening with everything. But where I live in LA by the beach, yeah, there's not too. It looks like I'm in space, so people can't really tell. But but yeah, where I live, like, you know, we can still go for a run or go, you know, like it's just not like there's like Nerve that I wrote with my good friend Gina Fontanella. She rocks. I've done a track with her before. I did a track before she was on American Idol with her, and then she's been doing her own thing, which is just so cool. She's so badass, and she's just got like, she's a smart girl with a lot of like, just a great presence, good attitude to songwriting, and I can tell you a bit about the song if you want. Like, we for a bit there, so all of last year I actually wrote all of the music that I was going to release this year. That was my plan. So I'm sitting on a bank of probably 15 songs to maybe 20, and the people my fans who know me know that like I write hundreds of songs to narrow them down for an album. So when I did my last album, Collide, with Christopher Tin, that has an entire orchestra going through it. I wrote so many songs to get to the final 12 before I started working with Chris to then narrow it down. And even after that, we were switching out which vocals we'd use and things like that. But yeah, so I was kind of prepping in that same way because no one saw this coming. And I was prepping to put out a new album, and I might, but yeah, it didn't feel right with everything that was going on. I was like sitting down with different songwriters and thinking, oh, I want to write something positive and uplifting and happy. So I first did a song called so I decided to start writing again and put those songs to the side. And I did a song called Start Again with Brentley Brown. It's like a new one for me. It was a crossover between electronic and country. And I never ever thought I would be doing anything in the country realm, but it's a song about, you know, wishing you could start again. And it felt kind of appropriate for the year. So yeah, I've kind of been, this year has thrown me off a little bit. I've kind of been changing how I write songs almost on a daily basis because of what's happening. But Nerve was interesting. Nerve's a fun one because Nerve is, you know, I was talking to Gina about it, and we were like, you know, should we do a happy song, or like, should people want positivity? And I guess as, you know, songwriters and with everything that's going on, we decided we wanted to put something out that just speaks for someone else, for other people. And the song speaks, yeah, if you listen to the lyrics, it's, you know, it's kind of about standing up for what's right, and maybe not everyone will stand with you, but if one person does, another one person will as well. And, you know, it's also about, like, I kind of do it in a tongue-in-cheek way, like 2020, you got some nerve. Like, it's, you know, it's definitely about current times. I like people to decode my songs, so I'm not going to like tell you exactly what to think about it. But the basic element is that it's definitely about this year, and it's about certain things that's happened this year. And the one line in there that is the kind of like the lead up to where it drops is the line that says, "I know that we want the same." That's like a nod to humanity, that we're all human, and yeah.
Do you have, or can you let us know or tell us even a little bit on any kind of future project that you may be working on, or what's coming next?
Yeah, so I can tell you that there's a lot of music coming because I've made it all, and I have a session this Saturday to write another song. So the real question is, which one's coming first? Because I can, with 4 weeks notice, put out a new record. In fact, I could probably have one out in 3 days. But but yes, the direction that I'm headed in is kind of interesting, and I think that there's always going to be melody in my songs. So it's just something that I can't really take away. Although I do have a love of techno, so I do have this like kind of burning desire to put out like just a really cool techno track. But I can tell you there's a lot of really well written tracks that are you know, vocal heavy and just like beautiful songs with stories in them that I think will just give a lot for people to imagine and think about and inspire about. And then I also have my side alias, Wish I Was, which I used to keep anonymous for a long time. There's like a good year where no one knew that was me. But if you go to Wish I Was, you'll find that's also like, that's a whole another style of music that I do. And sometimes I collab with myself. So Start Again, the track that I did, like the country one that I was telling you about, well, it's like kind of country electronic. I produced it more in as the style that I would produce a Wish I Was track in. And so I was kind of torn about whether it's Wish I Was or a tyDi song. And I ended up doing it as tyDi and Wish I Was, so it was like a collab with myself. But yeah, then when touring starts up again, Wish I Was is more of like my band act, like that would be more of a live show. Yeah, but to answer your question in short form, I can tell you that there's going to be new music coming out all throughout the rest of this year, and some incredible collabs too.
Well, I can say we are, especially after Nerve coming out and how phenomenal it was, I can definitely say that as well as many of everybody else who works at Moon Landing, are very excited to see what comes next.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And that's all the time we have. So I want to thank everybody for watching this. And Tyson, tyDi, thank you so much for joining us here. It was a pleasure to talk to you and get to know more about this song and how you write.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me here.
Of course.
Hey, from the moon. I'm on the moon right now.
So, as always, I'm Matt Garcia. That's Tyson Illingworth. I'm going to put his socials, everything you need to know. Look him up on Spotify if you want to hear more. And this was The Launchpad.